Welcome everybody to this week's edition of Valpo Football Weekly with the head coach Landon Fox. Brandon Vickery with you. It's Valpo Football Weekly and it's brought to you by Regional Federal Credit Union. Coach, we look back at a 19-10 win over Stetson on Saturday, and first play from scrimmage, Stetson goes for a touchdown, and the rest of the way your defense held the team, which entered the game ranked first in the nation in scoring offense and yards per game, to 3 points the rest of the way. How'd you get it done?
Yeah, we just misfit the first play, and when we talk a lot about this of being consistent and doing your job, and we didn't do our job. The running back's a really good player, and we leave a gap open, and he hits it and goes for 67 yards, and not the way you want to start a game. But the thing I'm excited about is our growth as a football team in terms of our ability to handle adversity, and nobody flinched. We just come to the sideline, we made adjustments. Hey, here's what we got to do, and we're able to then play pretty well on defense the rest of the game. I say pretty well. There was still some times where we got to make sure that we're in our gaps doing our assignments.
Jamari Booker, 13 tackles, 2 key interceptions, PFL Defensive Player of the Week, National Player of the Week honors, and he had a breakout year a year ago, but this year he's really established himself as your marquee player. What did you see from Jamari on Saturday?
Well, it's funny, knowing the league and knowing Jamari and watching film of him for multiple years, I knew he had all-conference ability, and that's something I told him when I got here. And his preparation's been outstanding. He hangs on every word that we talk about in terms of the preparation and what they're going to do against us. So he's ready, and so when that happens in a game, he's there to make plays.
The role of the kicker is often hero or GOAT, and it was hero this week for Dimitrios Latsonis. 4 for 4 on field goals, accounted for the majority of the team's points in the win. PFL Special Teams Player of the Week. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, 2 special teams players of the week. Jamari, PFL players of the week. Jamari got it defensively, and then Dem as a special teams. And just like I told him, shooters shoot, right? And so kickers kick, and just go out there and eliminate the mental clutter and just kick the football. And he's a really good kicker, so when he does that, good things happen. And you got to give a lot of credit to Ben Neisner and Doug Howe, our long snapper, in terms of those conditions and their ability to execute at a high level. You got to give a lot of credit to the whole unit.
Trey Pasota is not a guy who fans were familiar with coming into the season, but he was really coming into his own. Had the blocked kick, had 11 tackles in the game on Saturday. What can you tell us about him?
It's just another one of those guys who, good athlete, and then his ability just to continue to learn and grow in the defensive scheme. And as much as I hate to admit it, I mean, it is still relatively new for them, but the expectation is to be able to know what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it and do it to the best of your ability. And he's a guy each and every week that's grown, and so we're excited to see his growth. But a good athlete, a good football player. So not extremely shocking to us, but he'll continue to get better as we go along.
Another guy who's a good storyline this week is Elias Early. Here's a guy that's in his 5th year in the program. He started out as a wide receiver, didn't play much his first 2 seasons, and then even converting to running back the last few years was behind guys like Jarrett Morgan and Kyle Cartalis and Cody Boxrucker. But now he's the top guy right now and has been the last few weeks and had a big game on Saturday. What's it been like working with Elias?
It's been awesome. His for us and as a football team, his leadership ability has been just as important as anything. And he does it in multiple ways. For the most part, it's just his approach. But at times he'll be a little bit vocal, and the expectations that he has for himself and for the football team are exciting for us as a staff. However, his play is just his persistence each and every day, or year in and year out, right? And it'd be easy for him to say, this is a lot of work, for the X amount of games I'm playing. But his persistence and his ability just to stay with it says a lot about him, who he is as a person, more so than even as a football player. But when his number's been called, he's been ready to go, and he performed really, really well on Saturday.
This week you face a Davidson team that has an interesting offense, and it's been a potent offense the last few years. And a year ago, your Dayton Defense was one of the few teams that slowed down Davidson. What are the keys to stopping them this week?
Again, it just comes down to being gap sound. They're extremely well coached, and part of that is because their scheme is they just do the same thing over and over and over. When you do that, you get really good at it. And then in triple option, they force you to be assignment sound, and so one-on-one tackles are going to be key in terms of being able to stop them. So you have to make those one-on-one tackles. And then at times you got to make sure if you're not making those one-on-ones, you have to have some overlap defenders of guys that can try to help clean it up if you do miss. But if you're missing it, it's going to be a long day.
There he is, the head coach Landon Fox, after his first victory as Valpo head coach on Saturday. More to come, and perhaps this week at Davidson. Tough matchup as Valpo hits the road. The game begins at noon Central Time. You can watch it online. All the links will be available on valpoathletics.com.